So summer's finally here. It's an absolutely scorching day. We've previously looked at the best guitars for metal that are under £500 currently. I have to be honest, it was a really difficult exercise. I didn't realise how sparse the market is for good quality, low cost guitars, especially when they have to stand up to the things you expect from a metal guitar, like low tunings and stability, and a solid tone for that style of music. So now we're going to look at the next price point, which is under £1,000. In theory, it should be easy to find a good guitar at this price point. However, for £1,000, which is a good chunk of money for anybody, you need to consider that this guitar needs to perform live and in the studio. There shouldn't really be any compromises here. So let's go to the studio and see what's available. Okay, let's have a little look. Browse through. A lot of rock and roll guitars here. Although we picked a Chapman on the last video, I don't think they scale up that well. You know, these don't look much better. These look quite interesting. I'm not sure about the tremolo arms. This is just sad. This is like seeing your dad turn up to a party in your clothes. Nope, nope, nope. I played some of the S series in real life and really comfortable guitars, but they just don't look good in photographs. Still in rock and roll world. I've got soft spots for these. Still no. A whole lot of no. Actually, no, that's really cool. I think there are some things that you can pay tribute to, and there are other things that are just straight rip-offs, and that is pretty much the, I think it's called the heather finish on the John Brown minor signature. Page 3 and still no picks. I know a lot of people love VSPs, but I've got no personal experience with them. I don't love the way they look. Here we go. I have the Schecter Banshee Elite 6 with a natural gloss finish. Now this is a bit more like it, Schecter. No ugly inlays. I like these offset inlays where it goes from the bass side to the treble side when you get past the 12th fret. It's just crept down into this £1,000 category. Let's take another look. I'm assuming it's a neck through. There's no picture of the back. Ash body, that's great. Fixed bridge, even better. Ebony fretboard. You know, this is all positives for me. A nice flame maple top wood. It's 6 strings, 25.5-inch scale, so for me, you're kind of limited to, you know, drop D, drop C, that kind of thing. But that is a good-looking guitar. Fairly timeless as well. I don't think that's going to age poorly. What pickups does it have? Doesn't say what pickups it has. So they're Schecter's own pickups. Make of that what you will. For £1,000, I'd like something a little bit higher end in there, but it does have a hip shot bridge. That's a good plus point for it, and locking tuners. That's our first pick. You know, the quick pickup change, that could be a great guitar. I'm assuming it is a neck through, and if it is, it's going to have a nice bit of sustain to it, so maybe some pickups that accentuate the attack of the ash body. You have a really well balanced guitar. In the same price category, you've still got these ugly older Schecter styles. I'm not picking these, but there's an honourable mention here to these Charvel Pro Mod DK24 Dinkies. I think they look absolutely stunning. And if you follow Elliot Coleman on Instagram, he's the singer from Good Tiger, but also, by the looks of things, an exceptional guitarist. So watching him playing on these is just inspirational, and they're really cool looking guitars. Not what I particularly go for a strict metal guitar, but you know, sort of I just think they look cool, so they're getting an honourable mention, but not a pick. Got all these burl top Schecters. Now I'm not 100% sure that this burl look is going to be as timeless as I once thought it was. I've obviously got a Minez with a poplar burl top, which I love to bits. I won't be getting rid of that anytime soon, but sometimes I prefer a more brutalist look. Like I certainly prefer the sort of the aesthetic of my my Kiesel at the minute. But I could be wrong. It just seems like this is a little bit late to the party. You know, all the custom shops were doing burl finishes left, right and centre about 4 years ago. Then you had the really popular Ibanez iron labels, particularly the RGD IX7, I think it was, the one that everybody had basically, which was a really good guitar for the money as well because it had an ash body. I don't know how long these have been out, but my impression is that this is just a bit late to the party. That's cool. I'm going to talk about the Axiom label in a bit, but my impression of these three is they kind of missed the mark a little bit. Like, aesthetically, none of them appeal to me. That's metal as hell, but I'm still not picking it. Now, I am hesitant to pick somebody's signature guitar for this list, but I do like the way this looks. It's the Jackson Pro Series Misha Mansour signature. Obviously, Misha Mansour is the guitarist and main songwriter for Periphery. He also appears to be a successful businessman with Horizon Devices, making pedals, etc., and his Jackson signature guitars. Obviously, I don't begrudge anyone making money, but I have heard good and bad things about the signature models. Obviously, there's much higher end signatures, which are in the sort of thousands of pounds, sort of 2K mark, and I've seen one of those in the flesh, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. It's cool super strat shape. This looks like it might be good for the money. You've got a basswood body. Now, some people shy away from that, but basswood really varies in quality. I've got a 2003 Ibanez XL, which has got a basswood body. It's one of the best sounding guitars I've ever played. So don't let that put you off. A good builder will know what to look for in a good piece of bodywood. I'm not sure what's going on here because you've got Jackson uncovered MM1 pickups, which I assume are some kind of Misha Mansour pickup. I was under the impression that the selling point for these guitars was that they came with the bare knuckle Juggernauts or the Ragnaroks. I might be wrong, but you've got to assume that he at least has signed off on these. 7-string, dual humbuckers, 26.5-inch scale length, super strat shape. I love the colour. There's enough change out of your £1,000 there to put a decent set of pickups if you don't like them. And who doesn't love a bright orange guitar? Looks like today is a day of eating my words because we've got another signature model, and it's another Schecter. So I'm surprised even myself here. This is the Schecter Keith Merrow KM7 Mark III, standard in stealth grey. That colour is stunning. Now, I think of the KM7 as an option C guitar. By that I mean if you go online and say, should I buy this Ibanez or this other Ibanez, at least 3 people will pop up on that thread and say, get yourself a KM7. It doesn't matter how specific you are about why you want option A or B, someone will always pop up with this as option C. That's probably a good thing. It probably means they are really good. It seems like it's got a really contoured back. Yeah, it looks like there's these sort of these cuts here. Neck joint looks weird, but just looking at it, it looks like it's going to be a comfortable super strat. I like this stealth grey finish. Let's see what we got. Ash body, wonderful. Schecter humbuckers. I'm going to go ahead and say if you're a serious guitarist, you're going to change though to some aftermarket pickups probably. Maple neck, 7 strings, 26.5-inch scale length. Again, that's a really good move. There's so many sort of 7 strings marketed towards metal players, knowing they're going to be down tuned, which have got short scale lengths or standard scale lengths. Myself, I'm tuning down at all. I want a longer scale length, and that's a deal breaker for me. So, good job, Schecter. That makes the list. Now this one's cool. It's the Jackson X Series Soloist Archtop Slat 8 FF, which means fan fret. 8-string gloss black with an Indian laurel fingerboard. It's quite the title. Now, I think this is a really good move by Jackson because this is priced really well for what it is. There's a local band here called Arcs in nearby Birmingham, and the guitarist, he's got a very nice guitar collection that I'm envious of. But he posted a clip the other day of one of these where he'd swapped the pickups for a set of Lundgrens, and it sounded absolutely immense. There's a gloss black finish, not always my favourite, but it looks really good with this configuration. The fan doesn't look too extreme. On the fan fret guitars that I've played, if the fan's too extreme, I really don't like it. One slight area for improvement, which has been picked up on by a few different reviewers, is that the the nut goes across the fretboard, leaving this kind of dead area of fretboard. I wish they got rid of that, because that could have looked, really, really slick if they'd have blended that into the headstock. But it's not a deal breaker. I just think it's a missed opportunity for this to look really great. You're getting change out of £1,000, so you could maybe afford a decent bridge pickup for it. Again, basswood body, fixed bridge, laurel fretboard, which I've never heard of before, but it kind of has a kind of rosewood appearance. Doesn't have stainless steel frets, which you'd probably expect at this price point. But if I was getting into 8-string playing, this would be my starting point straight away, because I think that is a lot of guitar for the money. So my final pick is the Ibanez RGD 61 ALA MTR. It's Axion label Ibanez in midnight tropical rainforest. Now, it's no secret that the RGD is my favourite guitar shape of all time. Weirdly, I don't currently own one. That's just because I had too many guitars. But for me, this is the ultimate metal guitar shape. It's so comfortable, it's so well balanced, it looks cool. A lot of the players that have influenced me own the early versions, the 2127 FX, the 7 UCS. They're just great guitars, and they look cool as hell. But the last few offerings of RGDs I don't think have been anywhere near as good as those early ones. It seems like Ibanez have been kind of missing the point a lot. The one that did really well sales-wise, because it seemed like everybody had one, was the ash-bodied version with the burl top. And I think a good next step would have been to have an ash body with the stealthy, solid colours, which have also done really well. So this looks like a nice halfway house. So again, this is an ash body, so that's a great start. Some of the more expensive prestige ones don't have that. Ebony fingerboard. Neck is walnut and panga panga. Big fan of walnut necks. This is a 6-string, but it is 26.5-inch scale, so perfect for down tuning. And it has Fishman Fluence modern humbuckers in, which again, they're quite expensive in and of themselves. So again, this is a lot of guitar for the money. At a preference, I'll put the Ibanez Prestige line on the same level of quality as most custom shops, to be honest. The Prestige that I own and have owned have all been absolutely top notch. So at a preference, I'd have a Prestige. However, you would be struggling to get a brand new one in this price range. But don't always go for the name. Because I had an Iron Label RGD, the IR7, which was the laser blue. It was billed as limited edition when I bought it, but I think it only stopped being sold about a year ago. But it was an Iron Label guitar. People told me not to get it because it's not a Prestige. It was probably my most reliable recording guitar while I had it. It sounded absolutely immense. It felt great to play, and all it needed was a pickup change and a new nut. As far as I could tell, pretty much every Iron Label I played benefited from a Graphtec Tusk nut, which is like an £8 upgrade. And it completely changed the way the neck felt to play, because the stock one was like a rough edged piece of plastic. It was real bad stuff, but it was a cheap and simple upgrade that transformed the way the guitar played, and then a pickup change made it sound great too. This already has great pickups in it, so just check to see what the nut's made out of. Make that change if you need to, and you've got yourself a beautiful guitar that is going to play well and sound great. I'm 50-50 on whether I like this, I call it tropical rainforest finish on the bevel. And I still don't know how I feel about there being a different colour on the bevel. To me, I think you need to either have a flat finish all over or a wood finish all over. Like my Kiesel has like a black ash finish on the top and then a natural ash finish on the bevel. To me, the whole point of having the bevel with a flat colour like this is that the angle will catch the light differently and it looks really sleek like it does on the Horner here. So that's going to come down to personal preference, but I think that's probably one of the better looking ones. There are some that just look garbage, but I could live with that. So there are my 5 picks for the best metal guitars currently available mid-2021 for under £1,000. Next time we'll do the over £1,000 category. But like I said at the start, if you are in this price bracket, there's perhaps a little bit more pressure to get something that works, because your cheap guitar when you're starting out is going to get knocked around at shows. It's going to have to put up with the rigours of being dropped and that kind of stuff. Whereas when you're in this price range, generally you need something that's going to record well and hold its tuning and going to hold up to the rigours of playing live. And there's a lot in there that I would just scroll straight past. They're not appropriate for that at all. But There are guitars in this price range that do fit the bill, so spend your time, do your research, go to a shop and try it if you can, and you'll have a guitar that'll perform as well as much more expensive guitars. That's it for now, and I'll see you next time, and we'll look at the over £1,000 category.